Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty Boys brawling, no holds barred bout. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman? Tune
in the vibe.
Guard on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. Move better with the latest fight. Gene's got that insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move and every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Lessons off all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
Hey, what's poppin', y'all? It's your boy, Guard E3, and welcome back to the Meaty Boys podcast. And of course, I am joined by, he is the greatest co-host of all time. He is Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
Doing good on a Tuesday night. About to get into some wrestling. Let's go.
Alrighty, and before we start, a quick announcement. But before the announcement, I have a question for you. Are you devastated because John Cena just broke up with you on Monday Night Raw? Well, don't worry. I have a great way to make you feel better. Why don't you give yourself the chance to win up to $1,000? And let me tell you how. You see, the Wire to Wire Podcast Network is hosting a March Madness bracket, $20 buy-in fee, and if we get to selling 100 brackets, the grand prize will be $1,000. So, wanted to, shout that out real quick. The money's to raise and money and, support the network. Support everybody on the show. Support our guy, Gene. He's fantastic. Shout out to the final boss over there, Gene, already in the comments. So, yeah, if you want a chance to win up to $1,000, check out our Wire to Wire podcast March Madness tournament bracket. Now, thanks for that, Gene. Before we get into some WWE, I do have a quick question I wanted to ask you, Mo, because to me this is an interesting decision. So, AEW Revolution was a couple weeks ago, and it was widely, almost regarded as an all-time great pay-per-view, regardless of company, but a lot of people were kind of killed off because of how poorly the main event was panned out. Well, AEW has decided that the main event was so nice, they're going to do it twice. And we are getting the Jon Moxley vs. Cope rematch tomorrow in a street fight. Mo, I don't know if it's just me, and because I've gone on record saying that this match I don't think was as bad as people say, but I also didn't think that they should, run it back. Do you think that this is the right call to run it back and to run it back so soon after that original?
I don't think it's the right call, but I get that they're running it back because they do think the majority of the fans feel it was as bad as it was. I don't think it was a horrible match, but I guess the best way I can put this is it wasn't a main event match. Like for what you got out of it, in terms of entertainment, if I knew that was what it was going to be, that should have been the opening match. It was an okay match, and you got two performers. Look, at a minimum, one of them for sure is well past his prime. I don't want to see that again. I don't know why you would want to see that again. I guess the smart thing is you've turned it into a street fight, so you don't have to worry about them trying to actually wrestle. But who wants to really see that? So I feel like they're trying to make up for the fact that they've come to the realization that the belt should have changed hands at the pay-per-view, and it didn't. So they're going to rectify it with a street fight.
Yeah, absolutely. It to me, it's just like I said, it's just weird. Like, I didn't think the match was as bad as everybody said it was, but I definitely would have ran it back ever if anything, not this early in the game. But it'll be interesting. One interesting to note from that pay per view, by the way, Tony Storm versus Mariah May became the first ever women's match to get a 5-star rating from Dave Meltzer. So I thought that was interesting. So, but
it was a great match. It was a great match.
To me, that should have been the main event. No doubt about it. I was saying that before the pay per view even started, and they went out there and proved me right on that one.
I loved it because, not just because of the intensity and the story behind the two women, it really did have a very old school take on it. It was very brutal, very physical. It took me back to NWA wrestling, maybe even the early days of WWE when it was WWF wrestling. So I enjoyed that match. That should have been the main event, but it wasn't. But salute to both of those performers for putting on such an amazing match.
Oh, absolutely. And of course, switching over to WWE, because, we got to talk about it. Monday Night Raw. It opened up with John Cena, and he cut an amazing, I don't even know how to describe it, an amazing, like 15, 20-minute promo explaining his heel turn. What did you think, Bo? Like, I thought it was terrific, but what were your thoughts on it?
I didn't know how he was going to come out, but when he did come out and you realize where he was going with it, I was like, okay, he's fully invested. He's fully invested in being a heel. And even when he was speaking, he did I'm not a face, I'm not a heel, I'm a human being. Like I just thought he really embraced it. And look, the way he did it, if you listen to everything he said, and then the follow-up when Cody came out and Cody said the things he said, I think, Brett, you were spot on. You're the one that said this. You said whatever happens at WrestleMania, at some point, not long after, John Cena is going to turn back into a face. And I think Cody Rhodes' words and what he said, he might turn it back into a face at WrestleMania. Like, the storyline might be they're going at it, close match, a lot of false finishes, and then The Rock's like a little concerned, so he has one of the flunkies go in and intervene, and maybe Cena's like, don't do that, I got it by myself. I'm just saying, the conversation after his long rant, which was awesome, I'm with you on that. I thought he was perfect with that. The conversation between he and Cody, and then how Cody finished it off, that gave you the opening. He might not be heel beyond WrestleMania.
Yeah, be fun. I don't know if the story's done with the twist because already planning like heel Cena versus CM Punk, but Mo, what if they swerved us and what if they did a double turn at WrestleMania? What if the plan is heel Cody and they straight up just turn John back into a good guy at Mania and turn Cody into a heel, kind of like Stone Cold versus Bret Hart.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I love that. But by the way, that's kind of clever, right? The Rock's pumping Cena up. You're my guy. But really, what The Rock wants to do is he wants Cody to be his guy, right? You know what I mean? Like Cody becomes the heel. I like that idea. But the question is, does Cena walk out with the belt? Because I think if Cody turns heel, he doesn't walk out with the belt.
It's funny. I think whoever ends up the heel at the end of the match walks out with the belt. So.
Yes, 100% agree. Yes. Who? By the way, I feel the same way about the women's heavyweight championship, the world championship. I love Io. You love Io. The all the fans in the WWE universe, they're constantly chanting Io and how she deserves it. Io is so beloved that when her and Bianca were signing their signatures for their match, she's getting cheers and you deserve it. And then Bianca, who didn't do anything wrong, she just said, I'm going to beat you, the same way Io said to her. And Bianca got a smattering of boos, right? She got boos, a little bit booed. So Io's much more beloved. And then lo and behold, here comes Rhea. So I feel like both titles hinge on who turns heel first.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, absolutely. I think this is it's funny because I saw people complaining about this, right? And the complaints about the John Cena like promo on Monday, literally to me were so hilarious because all they did was prove his point. I go on because I had to take a look. Like, what are the reactions to this John Cena promo? Where's his new song? Where's his suit? Like, did you listen to the promo? He literally told you get nothing. He's not changing. You're the ones who turned on him. Like, he explained this whole thing, and yet everybody, still complaining, like, where's the new music? Like, you don't get that. He literally explained why you don't get that. And the other funny part to me is kind of like the other complaint of, well, they didn't let John talk. He didn't talk about The Rock. Like, people, relax. We have a month until WrestleMania. They're not just going to blow the whole load on one show. Like, what? Do you want them to just bring the referee down and just have the match right on the same night, too? Like, give it time. Guess what? I'm sure next week they'll probably let Cody and Cena do more interacting than what they did. And I'm sure maybe the week after that, they bring out The Rock. I heard rumors that The Rock will be at one of these shows on the European tour. So, it's so funny. Like, to anybody complaining about this, one, half your complaints, you're just proving them right. But more importantly, just enjoy the ride that they're taking you on. It's going to be a good one. This story so far has been absolutely fantastic. Just let it breathe. They don't need to do everything in the span of one night.
No, I agree. And like I said, to be The Rock's corporate champion, there are extended tentacles to that, right? We still don't know what other stars, and there will be more that join John Cena with the corporation, right? That's always been the case. You have to have sidekicks, minions, whatever you call it. There's going to be at least two others. I'd say four, because I'd have to believe if you're going to have a corporate men's heavyweight champion, he's probably already got a corporate female champion in mind as well.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I'm looking forward to see, who else joins, the whole new corporation. I think that'll be a lot of fun. The Cody Cena Mike battle will be interesting. And it's funny because I think they very much did that right, though, the first night. I will say. I thought there would be a Mike battle. And then, it didn't happen. And I think that's a great call because once John gets cooking on the mic, he normally, he gets going. He absolutely destroys people on that microphone. And something that happens every time, people are cheering him at the end. So I think it'll be interesting too. Will he intentionally tone down his own mic skills just to avoid getting cheered? Because he's taken every other precaution to avoid getting cheered.
He has.
So I'm curious if he'll kind of tone it down on the mic so people don't go too nuts over him going in on Cody.
I'm excited for the mic battle. I think the edge will go to Cody, not because he's better on the mic, because Cena's better on the mic, but I think because he's heel Cena, he'll be great on the mic, but it'll be in a different way. It won't be the way that you're kind of accustomed to hearing him, especially if you go off of the monologue that he gave us Monday. This is going to be a different John Cena with a different attitude. So I'm interested in seeing the back and forth between the two and the interaction. That just builds the story. So look, I can't wait for next Monday. I'm excited. There's so many things going on. And if it's exciting between Rock and Cody, it's Rock, Cody, and Cena. It's just as exciting between Io, Bianca, and obviously Mommy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, speaking of Rhea, Rhea, Bianca, Io, what did you think about just that whole segment? Because I thought it was very interesting, and I saw it's kind of very divisive. Some people saying that that was fine. I'm sure it'll lead to something else, but there's a lot of pushback. A lot of people didn't seem to like how that went. So I'm curious, what was your thoughts on that whole contract signing?
It was interesting. Look, they're trying to build the story and some animosity, and I think a big part of the story so far has been most people are talking about Bianca and Rhea as if Io's not the champion, right? Like it's only a formality that one of them is going to win the belt. Which one? And Io, her role in the story is to go, I'm the one being disrespected. You guys got to stop disrespecting me. I am the champion. I think this situation, I think they're building towards it. Was Monday, I don't think Monday was awful, but I think that their storyline, their storytelling is going to get better. You brought up the point. We're a month away, man. Not a week away, not 2 weeks away, a month away. So I think they'll get better. I think they're going to build more heat in time. And I still stand by. I don't know if it's Bianca. I don't know if it's Rhea. One of them's going to turn heel.
It's funny because I wasn't a big fan, but it's what's literally tanking it kind of for me. And, I think it'll just end up being great regardless. But I don't know. I really don't like the booking of Rhea. I'm not a fan of it right now. It stems back to that promo that she had, and it looked like we're going to be some real good character development and internal growth, like something we've been clamoring for a while. And now this is the second week in a row where she's come out and blamed everybody else, and I don't like it. I thought we were gonna get a real interesting, twist with Rhea, with maybe her having to take a little path of self-discovery, but it's really just kind of the same old, which is, it's okay. I like the Mommy character, but it's also kind of disappointing because I thought we were going to get a twist on the Mommy character.
Right. And so that's the only part I'm with you on that part. Because the one thing about Rhea Ripley, she was very opinionated, very vocal, but within this storyline, she seems to be making excuses and blaming everybody for her shortcomings. Her not having a belt, somehow that's Bianca's fault because she showed up. Like, you're in the match with Io Sky, somebody you haven't beaten. Why are you focusing on somebody sitting at ringside? What does that matter to you?
Not. See, Rhea with Damien as Terra Twins is the best Rhea. Yeah, no, that's fair. I did like her and Damien. It's too bad they got split up. They were great together. Speaking of Damien, it looks like they're setting it up. Him versus Drew at WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to it. I know a lot of people were saying that they weren't sure about it. It feels like it's such a downgrade for Drew going from Seth Rollins in a year to a Damian Priest. But listen, the story makes sense. I think the match is going to be good. Damian has kind of taken advantage of all of Drew's big moments, from the cash in to that triple threat at, I think it was Clash at the Castle when CM Punk screwed him. So overall, I'm looking forward to that match. What are your thoughts on a potential WrestleMania showdown between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre?
I think we underestimate how explosive a matchup that can be. I mean, they're both big physical specimens. Both are high impact wrestlers. It could be a natural build to this rivalry that goes beyond WrestleMania. I think it's actually going to be a great match. And because Drew McIntyre has a habit of coming up short or something going against him, there's going to be a moment in the match where he has doubt, when he can't pin Priest, and we're going to find out what he's really made of. Now, look, do I think Drew McIntyre is going to win? I do, but I think he's going to win because, to be blunt, he's a bigger star. In the bigger picture of the WWE universe, Drew matters a little bit more. He does. I like Damian Priest, and I agreed. I liked him with Rhea, but he needed Rhea. She didn't need him, but he needed her. I feel like Damian Priest is the kind of guy that, even though he's had some single success, I think he's better when he has somebody with him. I don't foresee him ever being one of the bigger. Like, I think there's a ceiling to how far he can go, and I think he's already been there.
Yeah, he's always struck me as that upper mid carder, that guy you maybe give some really dominant US title runs to, or Intercontinental,
right?
That occasionally challenges for the WWE title, kind of almost like in a vein on how they booked the Big Show for the longest time in the mid card, but when they needed a filler title contender, here comes the Big Show,
right?
And that's kind of where I always thought Damien would be, and I think that's a great spot. And he's already kind of proved me wrong with the cash and getting that main event run, and he deserves it. But
but I think you're right. He's a good performer, and we're not saying that he's not a star. He's absolutely a star, but I think he's a star in his lane. His lane is, as an individual talent, he can be the Intercontinental title. He can be the U.S. Championship. And at some point, he's going to get the challenge for one of the bigger belts. I just don't think he's going to become the World Heavyweight Champion.
No, fair enough. And speaking of the U.S. title, Mo, they're teasing a match I just genuinely do not want to see. Listen, I know you want LA Knight to lose as quickly as possible.
Come on, we all do.
But
we all do.
I really would prefer LA Knight as a U.S. champion than Big Jim Uso. They're teasing that match for the United States title. And I'm a big fan of, I think Jimmy is a great, tag team guy. Jay obviously got himself over.
Right.
But Jimmy has never been able to get himself over to that extent. He got over with the Usos, the tandem, but Jimmy Uso by himself has never been able to get over like Jay, and he doesn't really seem to connect with the crowd enough to really excite me. Oh boy, Jimmy Uso singles run with the U.S. title. Am I going to complain if he gets it? No, he's been there long enough. He probably deserves a singles title at some point, but also I'd almost rather see LA Knight than, Jimmy Uso. And I'd rather just not have that match at WrestleMania if that's the intended destination.
So while I'm not a huge LA Knight fan, I'm 100% with you. I don't want to see LA Knight and Jimmy Uso. Here's the thing. More importantly, as much as I don't like LA Knight, I don't want to see. I don't see it. You got to be able to sell me on something. They're throwing this together so last minute, and Jimmy's not a great singles wrestler. So why would he suddenly in this rushed moment get a championship match and win it? I feel like it's weird to say this, but the only way that Jimmy wins is that they're gonna throw us a curve and Jay's not gonna win, right? They're gonna feel like they're giving you something, but if that's the something you're giving me for Jay not winning, you're not giving me a lot, man. Like that, like I'm like I could do without I don't want that. I want LA Knight to walk in the WrestleMania the champ and leave the champ, unless you put somebody worthy against him. And if it's gonna be Jimmy, if that's the setup, that must gonna be like the opening match of the night, right? That's gonna be the match of the opening. It generates that much heat. Just get it out the way, and we can go on and enjoy the rest of WrestleMania, because I don't really care for that match.
It's funny because I almost think that the only way Jimmy does win is if Jay wins, because I feel like you put this match together to attempt to recreate the Eddie Guerrero Chris Benoit angle from like 20 years ago, with them hugging with the titles at the end of the show. This almost feels like, hey, we want to recreate that, so let's, put Jimmy Uso in a U.S. title match. Or, and that's actually might be brilliant, tease like we want to recreate that moment. We're going to put Jimmy in the title match so everybody thinks him and Jay are going to win, and then they both lose, or one of them loses. So,
or they both lose. You're right. But I think that's an interesting way to look at it. Or maybe they're like, let's let Jimmy feel some sunlight on his face. Let's let him win it at WrestleMania, and then the following the next television show he loses it, right? Like Jimmy will have the shortest reign in WWE history. I really don't like LA Knight, but the idea of Jimmy being a solo champion when he's never really shown you he's a terrific solo performer, you're not selling me on that. I'm not buying. Like, by the way, Solo, you could sell me that Solo could take on LA Knight and win the belt. You could sell me that Jacob Fatu could take on LA Knight and win the belt. It's a tough sell to tell me that Jimmy can take out LA Knight by himself one-on-one.
Yeah. Say, Jimmy is better on the mic and a better wrestler than Jay. I like Jay Uso, but don't lie to yourself. Jimmy's DUI is why Jay's over. But here's the thing. They both had their chances separately, and only one's been able to connect. Like, Jimmy's DUI might have gotten Jay his single chance, but he really seized that opportunity and never let it go in a way that, Jimmy's never been able to. I don't think Jimmy Uso's a bad wrestler.
No,
I don't
not
think
at
he's
all.
bad on the mic. He is better than, Jay. And I actually agree with that. But he just doesn't connect. He hasn't found the right, single persona, the presentation.
He doesn't have it, right? There's a lot of guys that are really talented that have everything that says they should be the next guy, but they don't have it. Jimmy don't have it. He don't have it. He just doesn't have it. And really, it's just a tough sell that he would be at LA Knight. Jimmy, the WWE universe, the fans, they're not drawn to Jimmy. That it factor, Jimmy has zero of that. He didn't have it. They're not drawn into him. Like, I don't know why that is, but it is. Look, Jacob Fatu's been there for a hot minute, and as a heel, the fans are more vested in him than they are Jimmy. Jimmy's been there almost 20 years, right? I'm just saying, I'm not knocking Jimmy as a talent. I'm not knocking Jimmy as on his mic skills, but some guys just naturally walk in the door and they have that it thing where you do give them a bigger push than you might give somebody else. If we just rank guys on talent, on just raw talent as a performer, then the dude that gets beat basically every week, Kaiser's probably as talented as anybody in the ring, right? But he didn't have it. They've basically turned Kaiser into a really, really glorified jobber.
See, I think I slightly disagree with this. I think his intro kicked it into overdrive for Jay. I think his connection started with his rivalry with Roman Reigns when he was cutting these amazing promos.
Agreed.
And giving us great matches. And then when they came back, he is still doing it. He's still killing it on the mic. Tribal Combat at SummerSlam might not have been the greatest matchup ever, but he's still doing great work on the mic. Like, I think he got himself over, and then the change in presentation kind of just kicked him off into overdrive. Kind of in a way where, like, Stone Cold as the ringmaster was slowly getting over, but Stone Cold Steve Austin kicked him into overdrive. I'm not comparing Jay to Stone Cold, but I think the presentation more so kicked him into overdrive than kind of forced the connection between the WWE universe and Jay.
And don't forget the perception, right? The perception of you. When the Bloodline was going through their battle, right? Who's the guy that was always getting beaten? Who's the guy that in the midst of the war was losing matches and basically like to me in the Bloodline storyline, Jimmy Uso became Carlito. Who's Carlito? Like, he couldn't win any matches, and every time there was any kind of a run-in, Jimmy was the first one to get beat up. The perception of Jimmy is that he's a great tag team wrestler. I don't even think a casual fan in the WWE universe looks at Jimmy and go, I can see where he could be LA Knight. And I don't even like LA Knight. I have no problem with LA Knight losing. But to me, it's a tough sell job for Jimmy to win unless somebody helps him win.
And I think, Jimmy could become like a really good like mid-card guy. Maybe he could reach the same levels of Jay eventually. But I just don't think. I feel like if that was going to happen, he would have found whatever's missing. He would have found it by now. He would have found whatever's missing.
I was going to say,
like,
think about this. How long has Solo been in the WWE? 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, like 2 years.
Right, and he's already shot past Jimmy. How long has Jacob fought? Less than that, and he shot like Jimmy is less than the dust. Jacob Fatu, I promise you this. Solo and Fatu are both going to win belts before Jimmy. Jimmy's not winning any singles belts. He's just not. It happens. Look, I can give you a music analogy. Jimmy's Tito Jackson, okay? He's Tito. Nobody goes to see Tito. You can't sell a Tito Jackson concert, okay? You can't. You can't even give away free tickets to see Tito Jackson. That's what Jimmy is. He's really good on the guitar, and he's really good when they work as a team. But as a solo act, ain't nobody showing up for that.
That was a fantastic analogy, by the way. And by the way, speaking of the Usos, I wanted to talk kind of about Jay Uso's, opponent on Monday night, because he just, he squashed Austin Theory in under, a couple minutes. Real short and sweet match. And Mo, if I'm Austin Theory, like, I almost at this point, do you consider maybe doing what Cody Rhodes and guys like Drew McIntyre did? And what I mean by that is, this is a guy 2 years ago who was seen so highly he was getting a match with John Cena at WrestleMania. Now he's losing to Jay in under a minute or two. If I'm, if I'm Theory, and if you want to be kind of more than you are now, I think he has to consider kind of maybe leaving, going out and rattling some cages elsewhere.
Agreed.
Go dominate some other places, because we've seen this before. Cody Rhodes, he wasn't more than Stardust.
God, I remember that.
He leaves. He rebuilds himself in New Japan, AEW, And by the time he comes back, he's the biggest star in the industry. Drew McIntyre rebuilds himself in Impact. And, he comes back even bigger. If I'm Austin Theory, or if you are, Mo, in this case, do you think it might be a legit consideration for him to, maybe try to, get his release and go, build himself elsewhere and then maybe down the road take a chance on WWE wanting him back when he's a bigger star?
Yeah. Look, I don't think he's alone in that. Like, you could just get a van, and you could put Theory in that van. You can put Kaiser in that van. Like, there's a few guys that can go in that van that need to go in that van right now. Like, it's weird to say this, but I'm going to say this because he was one of the biggest stars in the WWE universe, and he physically looks. He's probably as fit, as in shape as anybody in the WWE. And I think it's weird to say this, but I think Finn Balor should get in that van too. I think that sometimes you have to reinvent yourself a little bit. Maybe Ring of Honor, Japan, TNA. I think if you build yourself up and the WWE power brokers can see you in a different light, be it a heel or a face, but build yourself up in a different way. Yeah, I think you can come back to that universe because you kind of build yourself up and you have a different credibility. If Austin Theory stays in the WWE, he's never going to be seen even as a high mid-card guy now, not at this point. Like, they've turned him into somebody that's like lesser than R-Truth. Like, at least R-Truth, he's coming at it from a sense of humor thing. Like, he knows he's not one of the main guys now, but he still has a lane that he travels in. Theory's still in his 20s. He shouldn't be having to do that gimmick to where he's a comic bit. And he's losing to he's losing to people that talent-wise, strength-wise, those should be great matches. He shouldn't be getting knocked off like he's the Brooklyn Brawler. I think he's got to go. I think Kaiser's got to go. Kaiser's incredibly talented, and they've turned him into a jobber. I think even watching last night, you knew Finn Balor wasn't gonna win. I knew it when he took on Priest. They've kind of demoted Finn Balor into just being a star veteran, but not even like a mid-card veteran where you're gonna hold a belt. If I'm Finn Balor, unless there's another plan for him, like he decides to come down to the announce booth and be like the heel announcer, which, by the way, I love heel announcers. I would leave. Those guys are all really, really talented. But if you're going to make me a jobber, I would bounce.
Oh, here's my dream champs, Universal Seth, Heavyweight, Drew. I see Jacob Fatu, USJ. Women's Jade, but she needs a mouthpiece, fair enough. Women's EO, yeah. Tag, give me the Street Profits, got your wish. And no, yeah, absolutely. And the women's, I need new faces here. Yeah. No, I think actually this would be a fantastic setup. I love Seth, who, by the way, he said that he's only going to be wrestling for like another 6 years. I think he isn't going to wrestle past, I think it was like 2030. I think he'll be like 40 or 45 by then. So definitely enjoy Seth while you can, while he's still here, and definitely appreciate his greatness. Just want to throw that out there.
You know what's crazy though? Look at most of the guys that are at the very top. They're all like, what is Cody? 36, 37. Reigns is like 39 or 4. Like, they're all like, they're really close in age, and you have to wonder how long they're all going to be able to perform at a high level. Like, the argument I would make is that you do have to bring in some young talent to where they can take the reins and they can become like the main card guys, right? At some point, it happens to everybody. And it's weird because you look at this group and they're all like around the same age. CM Punk is like 46. He's even older. So how many years does he have left? Like that group, I don't think they have 6 years left performing. That's a lot to ask on their bodies when you see what they've done to this point. If Roman Reigns is at the top of the game at age 46, 47. I'm not saying it's impossible, but that would blow my mind. Same for Seth, because I just the toll that it takes on your body. Remember, Cena's doing his farewell tour, and this is happening. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he 46, 47?
Yeah, he's up there. I think that sounds about right.
Right. So I'm just saying that it would behoove Triple H and the powers that be that you do start bringing up some of these younger guys that are ready, so you can set them up for success when some of these older crew is going to go, because they're all the same age basically, other than Punk. They're all around 40.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. You know who feels like he should be the oldest is I don't know why, but every time I see Randy Orton, I always feel like that man's like 60. I feel like he's been on my TV screen forever.
He has.
But it turns out he's only like 43.
You know what it is though? We forget how young he was, Brett.
Yeah, he came in super young, and the thing is, he hasn't aged a day. He still looks fantastic.
That is impressive when you think about how long he's been in the game, to still have that lower body fat. I'm just saying, imagine the discipline you have to stay in that kind of shit. By the way, it's why I give Finn Balor his flowers. I don't know if Finn Balor is capable of having any body fat at all. Like the man wakes up out of bed and look like he's doing crunches. So I want to give these cats flowers just for maintaining their bodies through these years. It's weird, right? Because they're all around 40. Damian Priest is relatively new to the wrestling world, but real life, he's 41 now. He's not young. He doesn't look his age, but he is that age. So it is going to be interesting how long these guys are going to be headlining.
Yeah, and this will be fun too. Paul Heyman, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. It sounds like they'll all be on SmackDown on Friday. I know at least 3 of them are. Punk, Roman, and Seth are all going to be there Friday night. And, I'm sure Paul Heyman will be there too. So, I guess my question to you, Mo, is what are you looking for on Friday? What do you think happens between these 3? You think it's just going to be some talking, we get some brawling? And, of course, what do you think Heyman's involved? Who do you think Heyman sides with?
Look, the thing about Heyman that you can give him credit for is he's really forward thinking. So if he thinks it's time to hop off this horse and move him to another one, he will. But the fact that Roman Reigns is so much younger than CM Punk, even though him and Heyman have a great relationship, that I could see him. I could see him ultimately siding with Punk where it doesn't work out in his favor per se. But I feel like because he and Punk have the history that they have, and remember, we still don't know what that favor is, right? There's been no clarity, but Reigns and Heyman owe Punk a favor, and I have to believe it's a title match, right, or something to that effect. So that's going to be interesting how that plays out. Look, they haven't announced it, but and I know that's going to be the triple threat match, right? We know that, right? We know those 3 monsters, those 3 big egos are going to get in the ring, and the only question is when it comes time for somebody hand to be raised in victory, where is Paul Heyman going to be standing?
Yeah, and I think ironically, I think this is the first non-title triple threat match since 2010. And that's when we had the legacy triple threat match with Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Ted DiBiase in a triple threat match. Say, he's so good at crowd manipulation. Yeah, in timing though. And Mo, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't think it'll happen, but I'd still love for Seth to win this one. I think after all he's gave at WrestleMania 40 and all he's given you these past couple of years, I think he's earned it.
I know he's earned. I'm with you 100%. Seth has earned it. Remember, the match against Punk at the pay-per-view, Punk won. he's given up so much. He's due to be put over one more time. He's due to be a world champion one more time. Guys like Seth Rollins, they don't go long without having a belt around their waist. Let me put it that way. I think he's going to win at some point. The only thing about this match is I think Seth will win, but I don't think that's what Seth wants. Sure, he wants to beat Reigns and beat Punk, but more importantly, that guy wants to be a champion again.
Yeah,
and I think Reigns is different. Reigns thinks the match is more a means to an end. Reigns' sole focus is to be the world champion again. I know there's animosity between he and Seth Rollins, and obviously he and Punk as well. It's weird that three men can hate each other so much, but they do have an amazing history. If you ask me to go, well, who do I think is going to win for sure? If I was going to bet money, if I were going to bet money, I would bet my money on Seth Rollins.
Yeah, and I think the triple threat will be for something. I think obviously whoever wins this will probably just be number one contender for a title. So I think Jey Uso wins the title, for example. I think Seth would be a great first guy to pair him with.
Jey gets no respect, right? If Jey were to win the title, does Jey get a long title run? No. First thing they do is put Jey in a main event against Seth Rollins. And I'm not knocking Jey. I'm a huge Jey fan. I think you are too. But if you were just gonna go, who do you think's gonna win, Jey or Seth Rollins? I'm gonna go Seth Rollins because Seth Rollins very rarely makes mistakes. And as great as Jey is, what makes Jey entertaining and good in the ring is also his weakness. He's kind of reckless with how he approaches things.
Jey wins the title and Drew takes it off of him. I would love that for Drew. I think he deserves a legitimate world title run. So I think that's something that he has definitely earned. So I would be here for that. I agree. Heel champs are better. And you know what's funny, by the way, about Gunther? Mo, why is he having the greatest matches at live events? They had a match last week, Mo, at a live event. What was it? Oh, it was Gunther versus AJ Styles in a steel cage. And I'm like, can I get that on TV? And that I find that funny, and I just find this funny that WWE has almost booked his live events better than his actual TV opponents at this point.
That's funny.
The guys he's faced at live events, we've gotten Gunther versus Ilya Dragunov, Gunther versus CM Punk in a cage, Gunther versus AJ Styles. To me, right there, if they would have just had those match on free TV, Gunther's title reign, which a lot of people view as a disappointment, would probably be looked at as one of the most amazing things ever. And I don't get why they didn't show at least one of those at some point during his title reign.
They wasted his title reign. Unless, like I said, I'm going to give Triple H and creative credit. Unless they zig right when we're all zigging left, and they make a great match between Gunther and where Gunther wins the match, and then he goes on to face a Seth Rollins or a Drew Mac, and I'm here for either one of those things. I'm a Jey fan, but it's weird to say this because it'll sound like I'm dissing Jey, but we were talking earlier in the show about guys who, as tag team champions, were at the top of the food chain. As an individual competitor, I feel like Jey is fitted to be a star at the mid-card level. Does that sound disrespectful?
No, I think people take mid-card, star as something disrespectful, but guys like The Miz have built a very long and successful career on something like that. Chris Jericho has built a very long and successful career on what is his 9-time Intercontinental Champion.
Right.
So I don't think that's disrespectful at all. I know people will be like, how can you say that? If you're not the world champion, it doesn't mean, it's fine. Being an elite mid-card guy, it gets you far. Right, Kofi, I'm looking at you. Say AJ. Oh, go ahead, Mo.
No, I was just gonna say that. Yeah, you used a great example with Jericho. What if Jey Uso was an 8-time intercontinental championship to go with all the things he's already done? That's a terrific run, and you know how that works. He'd at least get 1 or 2 more shots at the world belt, whether he won it or not. It wouldn't lessen how over he would be, right? You know what I'm saying? So, I like Jay, and I have no problem if he ultimately wins it. I just feel like if he wins the championship, he's not going to have a long run. Whereas if he won the United States title or the Intercontinental title, I can see Jay holding on to those belts for extended times.
Say personality is, no, absolutely, and yeah, I can see it because personality is just doing a what sells you on the match. So yeah, I would die of laughter if like Gunther. I would die of laughter if like Gunther won, but not only that, like I'm just imagining like they're gonna build. Imagine if they built up Jey Uso and then Gunther just like power bombs and chokes him out in like a minute.
Which could happen.
It could happen, and that it would be hilarious to me. But no, I at the end of the day, Jay earned this moment. Let's give him a good 15 minutes, and whatever happens, he's going to be able to say, something that a lot of people don't get to say. Yeah, I got a world title match at WrestleMania. That's a very rare honor for people. And, Jay can say that he's been able to do it, win, lose, or draw. So,
facts.
That's
a great point. That's a great point. Look, I'm not going to front. I did not see Jey Uso winning the champ. Did you see him winning? I didn't see him winning. When he won, I was like, yo, that was a really cool surprise. And they got me again with how they did it when Cena won. And it made Cena winning even more intriguing when you found out that he was the guy that was working with The Rock. Because I was like, that's kind of crazy because he won the Elimination Chamber without anybody's help, right? That was crazy. So yeah, I think the storytelling it's ramped up and there's more layers to it, and I love that about that. Triple H has been really good at crossing up fans when fans are like, well, it's rumored that this is gonna happen. He's been really good about that. He's been really tight-lipped, and I like that.
Yeah, I'll give him all the credit in the world too with that. It almost feels like that he's like intentionally being the one to put out these rumors. And honestly, I would do that. Like it almost feels like he's the one like, hey, this is what's gonna happen, just to throw everybody off so we can book the exact opposite to happen. So I do love the fact that either A, they're just doing a really good job at, keeping everything away from people, or obviously B, and I wouldn't if they're the ones like, yeah, hey, this is what's gonna happen. And then they just absolutely swerve the crap out of everybody.
Right. Which is why, as much as you and I both were like, man, I don't see Jimmy Uso beating LA Knight. I don't know. Triple H and creative have become evil geniuses. I wouldn't see that coming, but if it happened, it would make me start to wonder, okay, Jimmy Uso's wearing the belt. How long is that going to last? Till the next time he's on TV? Probably. But he will have had that WrestleMania moment, right? I get it.
I think if they did give the title to Jimmy, it would just straight up be like Zack Ryder at WrestleMania 32 when he won the Intercontinental title, got his moment, and they're like, okay, we're done with that. Yeah, you're losing the next night.
Exactly. And look, I think that would be giving Jimmy that moment. He has a WrestleMania moment as a solo act. And then the next time they're on TV, you know what I mean? They get in an argument and Jimmy's like, you don't believe I deserve the belt? Meet me in the ring, and LA Knight wins it back the next, which would be crazy, but could that happen? Sure.
Hey, I think that I think if he does win, I think he should be a transitional champ to an extent, but I wouldn't give it back to LA Knight. I would actually have him drop it to Jacob Fatu. I would love to see him get his title reign kickstarted shortly after WrestleMania. And I don't think they're going to put the world title on him right away. So why waste any time? have whoever wins at WrestleMania face Fatu at like Backlash, St. Louis, and give Fatu his first title there.
I kind of like that. Because no matter who wins, yeah, you're kind of setting Fatu up for winning his first title. But if Jimmy wins, you kind of get that. Are we rekindling the bloodline again? Because it's the family thing again, right? Is Jimmy Uso going to beat Jacob Fatu without any help? Absolutely not. No way. I'd be here for it. If LA Knight wins and he goes against Jacob Fatu, I'm here for that match as well.
And when Jacob Fatu gets into that title match, Mo, I would genuinely make it a squash match. I would just make it a dominant match and a dominant title reign, and I would kickstart it the right way, which I think is just you have Fatu destroy whoever the champion. If it's Jimmy, if it's LA Knight, they can afford to take a really decisive loss. I would feed them to Fatu to really get the Fatu hype train rolling the right way.
Yeah, I like that idea too, because they've already built this thing where he's almost, not completely, but he's almost invincible. Like, people hit him with their finishers, and this guy pops up a lot sooner than you're supposed to be able to pop up. They're almost giving him Undertaker-like abilities, and I think you told me this a long time ago, partner, and I agree with you. You got to be careful of when you build a guy up to a certain point, because if you make him Undertaker-like, where you got to beat him, you can't hit him with your finisher. You got to hit him with your finisher like 5 times, right?
Yeah.
So I think you got to be careful with giving guys supernatural powers or strength, because look, the Undertaker is one of one. He kind of could pull it off. I don't think everybody can walk around being like, you can hit me with your finisher, but I'm just gonna do a cartwheel and pop back up. They got to draw a line between how powerful they're gonna make Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair, and I think too, Jacob Fatu, that would be a great opportunity as well to build up another young star. Like, imagine how big of a star someone like maybe Trick Williams would be, or Ilya Dragunov would be, if they went and defeated Jacob Fatu for the U.S. title.
I love Dragunov. What's the big guy's name? Omafame?
Oh, yeah, Obafemi.
Come on, man. That dude is a monster. Here's the problem, though. Because he's a monster, I don't want him to be a face. I think because you can sell the monster. You can always sell the monster, but the monster becomes more of a monster when he's a heel.
No, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to seeing when they bring up Oba. I feel like it's gonna be after WrestleMania. I don't think they'll wait too long on Oba, but it's gonna be great whenever they actually bring him up.
Yeah,
So,
I like him. What's the guy that he just wrestled from?
Moose.
Moose. Yo, Moose is no joke. I like Moose too. Like, that was a great match between those two.
Yeah, and listen, Jay's got a mystery partner next week for Raw. I'm not going to say his name because he might appear, but I think it very well could be Scotland's own Joe Hendry. I think that would be a ton of fun.
Oh, I like that. I hope you're right on that one if it's Joe Hendry. I like that.
Imagine the pop for like Jay followed up with Joe Hendry. The crowd would be going bananas the entire match.
100%. Yeah. Yes, but I hope you're right. You did say he's going to WWE, right? They've already got him, right? So he's going to be on.
Yeah, I think like TNA is still technically under contract with TNA, but it feels like the direction he's headed. He'll end up in WWE at some point. But man, Mo, that was a fast hour. We're out of time.
It didn't feel like. I think it went fast because we're just going back and forth vibing. Plus, it helps when you got somebody in the chat. Gene was on fire. He had a lot of comments, a lot of questions, some predictions that I agree with. So it went really fast.
Yeah, no, shout out Gene. Thank you in the chat, sir. Definitely appreciate it. Like I said, Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Just remember, if you're still down from getting dumped by John Cena, you can make yourself feel better by investing $20 in a wire-to-wire March Madness bracket. Support us and support yourself by putting yourself in position to win a cash prize up to $1,000. So, with that being said, everybody, we thank you very much, and I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your night.